Introduction to Web Programming, CSS Part 3, Responsive Design. So, why is responsive design the key element in the 2020s and even in 2010s? So, in the 19s, web was only viewed through desktop computers. Someone had laptops, but we didn't have mobile phones. And nowadays, it is mostly scrolled with mobile phones. We are searching everything, we are just checking everything with our mobile phones when we are on the bus or in a train or whatever. So the main target for a web application has to be mobile environment, which means that we have to design our web page so that it is usable with mobile phone, not just big computer screen. But of course, when the application recognizes that there is a larger screen, let's say we have a full HD or 4K screen, so then there is a lot of more space and we can use it, and it is of course very wise to use that extra space. And CSS is here the key. So CSS provides ways to achieve this, and of course JavaScript can be also helpful. So in the old days, the HTML was the thing. We can build a web page that can be adaptive to the different screen sizes, but when we add CSS, then we are getting tools that provide us a way to build responsive web pages. And even if the CSS is not enough, then we can of course use JavaScript. Something like 10 to 15 years ago, CSS was under development, and the one thing that was built was this media queries. So we have media rules to make it possible to give different styles to different devices. Basically nowadays those devices are all print and screen. And there were old things that if we would use some kind of a handheld devices or projection TV, but these were not used, so they were dropped. And we can set different CSS files to be used with different devices. And in devices I mean here that print and screen. So if we are printing our web page, we can set that the media is print, and then let's use this print.css file. So screen and print are used, and we can define more readable layout to print so that menus are removed and dark mode is not used. So for example, if we are building a web page that has a black background and white text, and if we would print that kind of a page, then we would get a printer to print black. Almost all paper would be black. So we define this print.css file which reverses this, that it uses white background with black text. So then not that much ink is used, which is of course very environment friendly, for example. So this kind of a division can be done. So some styles are used in a print and some are used when we are watching the web page via screen. There is much more. So these media queries provide other features. So for example, we can make this kind of query media all, so it's print and screen, and max width equals 800 pixels. Then we can put the CSS code inside that. So we are making a query that the web page width can be only 800 pixels or less. So then we are using this CSS code. Otherwise we are not using it. It can be here in the link part in the HTML page. We can have this, or we can put it inside the CSS file. There are dozens of different features, not just this max width. So for example, we can make this kind of a media query, so where the min width is 3000 pixels. So that's the minimum. So it's probably we are using some kind of 4K screen or even larger screen. And orientation is landscape. It's not portrait, it's landscape. And then we can put the CSS code there. Or in the newest CSS specs, we can even shorter this a bit. We can write this width, it's larger or equivalent to 3000 pixels. And we can check, for example, that if the pointer element is fine, which means that this browser is using a device that has a fine pointer. It sounds a bit strange. In real life, it means that there is a mouse. If the pointer is not fine, then it means that you are using a touch screen. So you have only your thumbs or other fingers that you are using when you are accessing the web page. Or there might be cases that you don't even have a pointer, you have only keyboard. These kind of things can be checked. And for example, if we know that the pointer is not fine, then we can design all the buttons a bit larger so you can hit them more easily with your fingers. But if the pointer is fine, then we can just remove a bit padding from those buttons because we are using a mouse, and that we can then more easily click the button. And there are plenty of these, so these min width or max width or any pointer, these are not the only ones, there are plenty of those. So I recommend that you check the Mozilla webpage, which lists all these CSS media queries. You can find them very handy, but of course when we are designing responsive web pages, min and max width, they are probably the most important ones, so that we can find out whether the device is mobile phone or it's a desktop machine. Also, this pointer fine thing is very handy when you are checking that if there is a mouse or if there is a touch screen. So modern day layout, and the modern day I mean that it's 2010 and later on. So with media queries, it is possible to select different layouts for different devices. So we can have different devices. Our customers are mostly using mobile phones. Some of them are using tablets. And when they are using their laptops, they probably have some kind of a full HD screen. And if they have a latest Mac machines, iMacs or PCs with Linux of course, then they have 4K screens. So the same web page can be presented on all these devices, but with CSS and media queries, developers can design that they are a bit different. For example, here in the phone part and the tablet part, the menu is only this hamburger button, this black box. But when we are using a laptop or a desktop computer, then the menu is opened. There is this black line, all the menu elements are visible. But in a mobile environment, we can hide these and put them behind this hamburger icon. Also, in the phone, we have only these two orange elements. They are probably some kind of, let's say, highlight elements. But when we have a bigger screen, we can show more of those. And in the mobile phone, the real content, green here, is not all visible. You need to scroll a bit, but in a 4K screen, of course, you have much more screen space, so you can see all the content there. And this can be achieved only with CSS. You don't need any JavaScript there, and you cannot achieve that with pure HTML. So CSS is the key. Media queries and layouts. So use media queries to select layouts, and you can do it easily with this mobile first approach. So mostly web is read with mobile devices. So first we are designing the elements that are common for phones, tablets and desktop computers. So these are common for every devices, which means that the fonts and colors can be designed here in the beginning. And then we are making a media query if the min width is 480 pixels. Then we are working with layout tablets. In this part we are overriding the mobile first definitions with the layout definitions, and then we have even the media query min width 1100 pixels, which means that this is probably a desktop computer or laptop. So we are then overriding those parts that can be designed a bit differently with the desktop computer. And it means that, for example, this hamburger menu is dropped and we are showing all the menu elements there. So first we define CSS to work with mobile devices, and then we are increasing the screen size, and finally we are using the largest screen size and defining CSS styles for that kind of devices. We will soon have an example on that. So this mobile first design is the key here. And media queries, you can select the layout by device and resolution. So we have usually phone, tablet, laptop, 4K screen sizes. So 4 is probably fine. You can manage even with 3 or 2 if you just define a web page that it has a mobile view and then some kind of a, let's say, laptop view. But of course, if you have a 4K screen, then you could use that extra space to show some different elements. Then there is this content and the layouts, and based on the viewport size, it's then designed what we will show. There is this breakpoint, so it's the resolution size that will cause your layout to switch to another, and this is based on the media query. And the exact point is, so it's called breakpoint. Then you can manipulate your content blocks for the needs of the layout. And how you are manipulating the content, key notes here is that you understand your users, which usually means that they are using mobile phones mostly. There are cases that if you are building a nuclear power plant software that is used through browsers, then they are probably not using mobile phones. But usually mobile phones, mobile first. And this is this target devices, of course. With users, you have to remember that some of them might be some kind of handicapped. So they, for example, don't have hands, so they need to use voice control. And if your web page doesn't work with voice control, then you are not understanding your users correctly. Then you design your content and you use media queries to select different layouts for different customers' target devices. Build layouts by reordering them. So in the mobile devices, you can show different order of the parts of the web page than you would show in the desktop part. You can reposition them. This one is in the left, this one is in the right, and such. You can replace them. So we are showing advertising in the desktop part, but in the mobile part, the screen size is so small that we cannot show this kind of advertisement. So we can replace it with a smaller one, or we can even remove it. Keep the web page as simple as possible and help your users to get the content. So if we are using a mobile phone, then the content should be there on the screen and the menu should be very hidden behind the hamburger menu icon, etc. But in the desktop environment, you can show the content and the menu at the same time because the screen size is larger. Let's have a short example what we are talking about here. Here we have just a simple HTML page and we have a CSS file which is completely empty. So our web page is just blank white. Let's add some HTML elements here so we could actually see something. We have a menu here. And in the menu part, we have an unordered list. And then we have a list elements that will have some kind of links. And this is called item 1 or menu link 1. Let's have a few links in our menu, maybe 5. Let's not have too much there, like this. This is the menu part of our web page, so now we have the links here. They are just basic unordered list. Then we have the content, it's inside main part. We have a first section which has some kind of a content, and besides this section we have this aside element which we have, let's say we have a week top 5. I don't know, absolutely don't know what it would be, but it's something that we have this on this web page. So we have a 5 element here, so it's first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So this is pretty much the aside element, which is there somewhere. In here, in the section part, we have the real content. Let's call it real content. And we have a there article, which could be something lorem ipsum stylish. And we can have a second article, which is also some kind of a lorem ipsum style. So we have some kind of random text there. And now we have these two articles, real content, week top 5, and menu link. We don't even have any logos or name for this web page, but this is enough. Now we have the HTML part. Basically, we could add some classes here. So let's call this main menu, and this list items could be called menu item, like this. Let's copy paste this to the all list items, like this. Maybe we can work it out. And then let's go to the CSS part. First we could define this menu a bit. So we have this main menu. Let's do some font sizing. So let's use 2em, and let's remove padding. Let's continue. Main menu, and inside this main menu we have this URL, and here we remove this list style, so it's none. And now when I really refresh this web page, now it's showing all the font size and paddings, and now we got rid of these list styles. So once again the browser was catching and didn't show the refreshing. And let's remove padding also from here. So now it's on the very left. And guess what? This looks really bad. So let's continue improving it. We had this menu item, and here we can set, we have a margin 5 pixels and background color some kind of a grayish. So now all the elements are here. So now we are building the mobile view. So this is basically a mobile view. And so let's put it like this so we can see. This is like a mobile view. We could use another devices, of course. Mobile view. Yeah. So it looks okay on the mobile devices in a way, but let's still do something. So this menu item, and inside that we have this link. Let's just do some text decoration. None. So we are removing those underlinings, and we are using color dark blue, like that. Let's see. Now we have a dark blue links there. Then if we would have a hover like this, so we are still not having any decoration, but we could get a bit brighter blue. Let's see. Now nothing is happening because we are using this with mobile device. So let's get rid of that, and now we are getting this hover effect, which is not available if we are using a touch screen. And then what if we have the larger screen. Let's use this media query. So media, and what we are using, min width equals 1100 pixels. So this is really not mobile phone anymore. So now we have a section that is only used when the screen size is more than 1100 pixels. Let's make it so that we want to get these menu items to be on the same row. So let's remove this and let's go here. So if these, now they are under each other, let's make them to be on the same lines, and that what we can achieve, for example, with the main menu UL display, not inline but flex. Let's see. Yeah, now if we have enough big screen, then they are next to each other, and then we are moving to less than 1000 pixels, and then they come to this kind of a mobile view. So if you have a mobile view here, then it is not, this is not visible at all. Could be we had some kind of a mobile devices that would have a very big screen. There are no tablets. If you are buying a new phone, let's say you buy a new iPhone, it has a bigger screen than 375 pixel times 667 pixels, but the phone is using this scaling, so it's only the browser thinks that the screen size is 375 pixels, which is actually not, but it thinks that. iPad Air and iPad Mini. What else? So let's do something here. Let's go. If you are using a mobile phone, we are basically not seeing the website's background. We are only seeing the content. But if we have a 4K screen, then we are seeing even more the background, because we are not having lines that go from other side screen to the other side. Those lines would be way too long. So let's do something about that. So we define that max width is this 1100 pixels. It could even be a bit less, 1050. And background color, let's put there some kind of a grayish color like this. It's a bit green, and then let's center it by setting the margin auto like this. And now if we are refreshing here, nothing happens. But if we are getting rid of this mobile view and checking the desktop version, now we have links in the same line and the background is green. But if we are moving to the mobile view, getting a screen size less than 1100, then the background color gets removed. Let's do still something here. Let's copy paste this and add the element there, and here we could use some kind of padding, 5 pixels. So now the links are a bit nicer, not much, but a bit. And the main part could use also this display flex, because we want to get this aside to the side of this real content. So let's have this main section max width 600 pixels, and then we have this aside which max width would be 300. Let's have a 700 here. Let's go like this. And now they are on the next to each other. So this works and looks like a normal web page. And let's close that. Normal web page until the screen size is smaller, and then we are getting the mobile view. This is not hidden behind the hamburger menu right now, the icon, but of course in the real life it would be there. Let's check this. How does this our pointer view pointer work? So if we have a pointer fine, then we can put CSS code here. So let's make these paddings larger, but if we have a pointer fine, then they are not that large. So we actually had this padding here, so let's get this rid of there, and let's move it here so that we have a 5 pixel padding. But if we have a pointer that is not fine, so then first we have a let's say 30 pixels. Now we have a 30 pixel padding. Let's even have a more. Let's have a 40 pixels. Actually, no. Yeah. So we have this fine. Yeah. Sorry. We have this fine pointer now, so we are not getting this 40 pixel padding. But if we are using mobile screen, now we have the 40 pixel, which is pretty awful. Let's go 20. Now I don't have a mouse anymore. I have this touch screen, so now they are bigger, which is very good, because if I am using my thumb or any other finger, then now I can really hit this. But if we would only get this is much harder to hit these buttons. But if we are putting a bit more padding there, now they are easily to hit with your fingers. So this pointer fine or scarce, what was it if it's not fine, then this is very useful when you are designing the, for example, button size with your mobile device design or with the desktop design. This is how you use media queries inside the CSS file, and you can decide what kind of elements are shown to what devices. This is very simple in that sense that you just make this kind of query, and inside this query you decide what styles you will have. But of course the problem with CSS is that you get easily this kind of a very strange indentations, and it is not that easily when you cannot put CSS inside another CSS. This is not okay, which is the issue with CSS nowadays, but it is getting better all the time. So let's get back to this media query. Please use them always when you are designing good usability to all the devices. Then just few words still about the layout. So the common way is to have a 12 column grid. If you are using Bootstrap, Materialize or any other CSS framework, there you will get 12 column grid. This means that there are fixed breakpoints and fixed size per device family. And this is handled and done with CSS classes to set block widths in columns. Positive sides, it is easy, well understood, and basically all the web pages nowadays are built with this kind of a column grid. Then the bad side, there will be a lot of CSS. It will use data, and those widths, they are somewhat fixed. So if you would like to have let's say 9.7 columns, then you cannot achieve that. And this is what I mean, that you have a fixed width. So you can have a column that has a 3 12s. so it is taking 25% or 4 out of 12, so it's taking 33%, or just one column it's taking, what is it taking, 9% or 8% of the width of the screen. But you don't have to do manually this because you can use Bootstrap or any other CSS framework. So, conclusion, it is important to make sure that all the users can access the web and use the web app you are building. So they can use phone, they can use tablet, desktop computer, or even speech synthesizer or any other devices that is providing the data for them to consume. So you as a developer, you need to build the application so that it can be used with different devices. So design your web page so that it is accessible with a lot of devices. If it's only accessible with desktop computer, then you will lose most of the customers because they are using mobile phones and they do not want to zoom small text. You need to design your web app so that it works with mobile phone. Use CSS media queries to achieve this, and then the world is a bit better place.